Hello, welcome in everybody. Yeah, the witch and the ghost is so cute. This is what I'm going to be using today. This is just a printable that I printed off. It's from my friend Catherine Ballent. She has a shop on Etsy. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not on here, but she is having a sale right now. So if you like printables, really cute printables, she has some really cute stuff over there. I start off by printing everything on 110-pound Nina cardstock. So that's what I use here. And I do have a Canon Pixma printer. That's what I use. Hello, 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 Tucker. Hi, Kylie. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. We're just getting started. I'm getting my laminator heated up this morning. Again, if the sun comes out, I will turn off the overhead light. I'm sorry if there's a shadow and it doesn't look too good. So here is what I'm going to be using today. This is a printable from KB and Friends, and I'm using a 10 mil laminate sheet. This is just a laminating sheet. I got these from Amazon. And this is what the pack looks like. They're the thermal laminating pouches. Now this is 10 mil. I think this is just about high up as you can get, like just for a home laminator. Most of your Scotch brand only do 5 or up to 5. So if you're wanting to laminate something that's really thick, you're going to have to go to a different laminator. And this is one that I got on Amazon. It laminates from 3 mils all the way up to 10. So this is, I don't know if you can see what it looks like here, but it does the bigger sheets too. So you can get longer sheets if you need to. This is just the standard letter size sheet here. So let me show you too some of the other, I am having a Halloween show on September the 24th. So be sure to bookmark that. It's all of my handmade stuff for Halloween. So here is one of the other, a little bit bigger of the disc journals that I've done. These are the, I haven't shown these yet. I need to take pictures of these and get them loaded to the shop. But if you're interested in purchasing any of these or bidding on these, I will start loading stuff for that show about a week before the show starts. Now, there are a couple of things in the show already that you can pre-bid on. I'm not selling anything today, but I do have a few things just as I buy it now if anybody's interested in looking at that. So this is one that will be, and I have like 3 others that look very similar to this. This is just a rub-on transfer that I used on the front. And then of course the 10 mil laminate, and I used 5 of the rings there. Now this is the one of the ones that I did show on my Instagram with the little charm on the side. So I will be showing how I put my charms together today too. This is just a chipboard piece that was naked. I painted it black with some ink and then put a little bit of glitter on there, and then just use the chipboard, just use scrapbook paper for the back. And of course this just has the 4 rings instead of the 5 like the other. So you can really make these just whatever size you want to make them. But of course I put my little scrapbook paper depending on how tall they are. I make little flip pages, little pockets. You can add scrapbook paper or a little notebook paper to it. I just get the little journals or the little notebooks from the Dollar Tree and just cut those to size and then just punch them and add it to it. But this is another one that will be in my Halloween show on September the 24th. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm gonna demonstrate today. Now the book that I'm making today is a 5x5 book that will also be disc bound. So let me put some of this stuff away and we'll kind of get started. So this is what it looks like. And this design here is one of her newest designs, and it's like a record cover. So it has tabs on here, but I'm just going to cut out around that. So, and let me show you too, this is what her printables look like. When I download a bunch or get a bunch of her stuff, I just go ahead and print everything off. And this is how rich and colorful they are. And again, it's KB and Friends on Etsy. And she is running a sale right now. So I use a lot of her stuff, especially for my mini planners, if you're interested in looking at that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. When I print my designs, and again, I do use the Pixma printer, which is it does have the 3 different colors of ink in there, plus the black. I select it as a matte photo, so that really makes the pictures or the printables very rich in color. Okay, so here is my laminate. And again, most everything I'm using, this and my laminator are both in my Amazon storefront, and that is in my Linktree. It is Linktree, and then it's just shellye.mcdaniel. If you happen to follow me on Instagram, I do have that linked into my Instagram little profile bio. So if you want to look at that, I have a lot of the different tools that I'm using today. And you'll just make sure that you leave a little bit of area around it so that it will seal next to the paper. If you're using any paper that's really heavy, like a really heavy scrapbook paper, it is best to use a little bit heavier of a laminating sheet. If not, you may have to run it through a couple times. I went ahead and cut out some of the little die cuts too. I like to go ahead and make as much use of my sheet as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of these pieces in there too. Let's see what all I can get on here. Okay, so, and then you'll just want to run it through your laminator, and I'm going to pull it just a little bit closer. And also you'll want to go in with the sealed end first and just let it run through. There's what it looks like very, very sturdy. Okay, so I go ahead and trim everything out. I think I'm just going to use some scissors right quick. But you'll notice too, like there's a little bit of area here where it didn't seal as well. And so what I do is I go ahead and cut this apart, and then I'll run each piece back through the laminator just to help it really get a good seal around the edges. So I really don't have to do anything too precise at this point. But especially for the covers, I like for those to be sealed really well because they could kind of peel apart. So I'm just gonna run that back through. Looks pretty good. I think all these look pretty good. This one probably could be. Enter again too. Now I'm just going to trim off the edge. And I have a little line drawn here on the edge of my trimmer where I've made up with a marker, and that's where I put the edge of my paper, just so I know when I'm going around, I'm getting just about the same. I'm getting just about the same amount of laminate sticking out all the way around. Okay. And then my corner rounder, this is actually a badge rounder for making badges, but I love it because it's great for this heavy laminate like this. And I like to corner around the edges because these can get pretty sharp. So I've just corner rounded that. And I need to do my back cover. And then I like to make sure that they kind of line up. They're about the same height all the way around, and they are. So I'm just gonna corner around the back. Okay, with the thicker laminate, a problem that I ran into is I used to use this little punch here, and I found this on Amazon. It has 4 different areas there that you can punch. It's a mushroom punch. Great for like a 5mm laminate or lower, or any of your papers that you're putting inside of your planner. But with the 10, it's just a little bit too thick. So if you don't have one of these, and you don't have a cinch, which is the tool I'm going to bring out next, You can also just use a hole punch. Make a template of how, you know, where you want your holes to go, and then just punch it with a hole punch, and you can really get the same effect. The thing I like about using the cinch with this is you can gauge if you want to use, you know, if I only wanted to use 3, I can really, you know, manipulate this a little bit better. Or if I wanted to use, you know, a little bit closer or spread apart, if I want 2 here and 2 here. So I really actually like using this a lot better. So what I do is just kind of slide this in and just see here like exactly where I want to punch this. And I like to get it, I like to look here and get this pretty even here. Just so that you have about the same amount, pretty even, okay? And then, so let's do about here. So I'm gonna push this one in. I'll come down here and push this one in, and this one in. So that gives me 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Actually, I think 1, 2, 3. I'll do an extra one. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But you could do more if you wanted to do more. But that's a little bit different, so we'll just go with that. And then I'm going to turn this over so it matches. And then punch this side. And then those should line up just like that. Okay, again, these are making holes, and what we need is a way to be able to slide our disc through that. So just take just a fine pair of scissors, and all I'm doing is making small slits. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if you can see that. So I've just cut a small slit right there into the side. Just take your scissors. Again, this is just a hole. So if you're using a hole punch, and try not to talk too loud because I'm right over camera. If you're using a hole punch, just a really small little slit here. And I'm only doing this because this laminate is so thick I cannot run it through my little mushroom punch. Okay, so that's what that looks like. And all of the disc I have gotten from Amazon. So I'm just going to come back. And you just pop those through like that. And if you're familiar with like the Happy Planner, then I know that you have seen these before. And I'll need to go pick up one more. But that's what it looks like. That right there. Okay. Okay, so the next part is adding your papers to your planner. I went ahead and cut up some strips of paper. This is an old collection from Bella Boulevard. So my papers I cut just a little bit shorter than the height of my book, as you can see, so it will not show through that. So I cut these 4 3/4, and I just left the length. And then so what you can do is if you want to just do a regular page, this is 5, a little bit over 5. So I'm just going to cut that down. And then again, you'll just hole punch that. Let's see. I'm just trying to get this centered here. So again, you'll just use the same punch and the same method. And again, if you wanted to use the mushroom punch, you could. If you need to use a hole punch, just make a template and then go back and use your hole punch if you don't have a cinch. It's funny how everybody sounds alike when they're from the South until you really listen to people from different areas, and everybody sounds different. We're all lumped in together, but we do all, I mean, even people from Texas, different areas of Texas sound different, so. Okay, so again, I just cut that, and then I'm going to add that to my book. And they just snap right on here. Just like that. Okay, and I do want to show you too how I make my pockets. I know some of you have just come in, so let me show this one again. This is the one I did a little peek of on Instagram. Okay, so here's the little pocket, and I just use one piece of paper and then fold up and in to create the pocket. Okay, so I'm going to show you now how I do that. So you will need a piece of paper a little bit taller than the height of your book, depending on how deep you want your pocket to be. And usually I'm saying on a book of this size, probably about 2 inches. So I cut that 4 3/4. So let's just add a couple of inches on there. And honestly, this paper was just left over, so I am going to score it at 5. So we're going to score it at 5. Actually, let's score it at 4. So I'm going to fold that over. And then too, when making a pocket, keep in mind the direction of your pattern. So if you fold this up, that will be fine. But if you were to have it this way and fold this side up, your pumpkins are upside down. So just make sure when you get ready to put it together that your paper isn't going in the right direction. And then all I'm going to do here, and I want to come this way, is I'm going to score the bottom at 4 3/4. So when I fold that up, it gives us a pretty deep pocket. Okay, so what I do next is take the paper and fold it this way, and then I'm going to cut a diagonal line here. Just make sure that the seam of your paper is facing away. You'll want to cut that part. So I just take a pair of scissors and just cut up. You cut up to that score line there. And then when you fold these up and fold that back, and you'll just need to put a piece of folded paper here, and you'll have your little pocket. I'm actually going to trim this one down just a little bit so I can just punch one side. So I'm going to cut this side just a little bit shorter. So when it's folded over, I can just punch this area and it will fit right on to the book, and then this can open up and you've got a page here and a page here and then 2 pocket pages. This paper, you can see really good how I snip these. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I wouldn't get my lines too far apart because you don't want it to be too loose on your rings and have the paper slide out. So that's what it looks like, and then we'll just add that to our book. Again, I've got to add another ring to this. So that's what that looks like. Okay. I'm not going to go through and show the rest of the pages. Well, I take that back. I think I'm going to do one more and just show you how I did one that's just a straight piece of paper, but also think about doing little fold outs too. So when you score that, start with your first score mark. That's about the width of how far out you want it. So I'm going to do 4 3/4. And then when you fold that up, you can take it and fold it back if you want to. And then with a piece of paper like this, you have this, 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 and then the back, all as places where you can add pictures to that. So 1 12, and this is just the 12 inches across. So we'll just go ahead and punch that one. The more interactive, the better. That's how I feel about it. Okay, let's move on to the charm. And I know that charms are like a lot of things. There's so many different ways to do that. I just wanted to show you a couple of the things that I pulled out of my stash that I'm going to be adding. I love the purple. I love purple, and there's this really pretty green and the bright orange for Halloween. That's like my favorite. I think that's my favorite color combo. Now, a lot of my beads, I don't buy a lot from Temu or Tamu or however you want to say it, but their beads are actually a pretty good deal. Some of these I've also picked up from Hobby Lobby, different things like that. So this is just how I do mine. And like I said, there are different ways to do them. I also use these, and you can pick these up from Amazon. They're I think they're crochet markers. But this is what I use to actually attach my charm to my planner. So that's what those look like. And they come in a lot of different colors. So let me grab my tools. And I have just a variety of tools. And I will be using crochet markers. I'll be using some little rounded pliers here. I guess you just call these pliers, like needle nose pliers, and some snips. I may or may not even use these because I am going to wrap the wire around that. Okay, so for my charms, I usually do 9. I'll do 3 layers of 3, and with the charm on the bottom. And then I also have some little caps that I like to use. I love using the daisy spacers. I think those are really cute. Okay, so the first thing I do, and I'm using just these nice rings here, and I use just this size on all of mine. I actually have these in my Amazon storefront if you want to take a look at those, but they're a good weight. So is anyone not familiar with any kind of beading or jewelry work or anything? I'm just going to go ahead and explain exactly how, for a newbie, how you would do this. So this is like your jump ring or your closed ring anyway, it's just a ring. So you only want to open with one hand. You keep one hand stationary and just pull back with the other, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of rings together. I will go ahead and add my charms onto one. That will be the very bottom. So I'm just going to slide these on there. Okay, and then I'll close that up. So again, I'm just using my 2 little pliers here. So again, I just keep one stationary. My dominant hand is the one that's going to close it up. So I just pull back slightly past where they meet, and then just kind of bring them up, and you'll see that they line up perfectly. Okay, so that will be the bottom, and then I have one on the top, and I will add one more. That way, when I start my beads, they don't hide my charms on the bottom. Again, just with your non-dominant hand, keep that stationary and only pull back and open up with your dominant hand, okay? And then you're just going to slide on that. Nope, not to the bottom. One on the top. So now we'll have 3 of the rings together. And you could add one more if you wanted to. I do have some bigger beads going on here, so I may add one more, especially with the book being taller. I've got a little bit more room to work with, so let me add one more. Okay, so that is 4. Now for my next one, I will add my beads to that. So first we have to add a pin to the bead. Now for most of these, the holes are too big and your pin will slide right through it. So you'll need some kind of stopper on the bottom, whether it's the little daisy spacer, or if you use a cap or something like that, you'll need something to stop that from pulling through. So I'm just going to use that. And then the next thing I do is I take my little round nose pliers there. Okay, and you just place that on the top. The width of this is the bigger the loop. So if you need a bigger loop, you'll want to slide it all the way down here. If you want a tiny loop, you'll want to place it down here towards this. I usually just kind of go in the middle. Okay, so your wire is like that. You'll take your finger and bend it over, just kind of like an L, so it looks like that. Then you'll rotate your pliers up so it's sitting on top. So just move your pliers up. Next, you'll take your finger and bend your wire back over the top so it looks like that. Everybody see that? Anybody have any questions just yet? Okay, so then after that, I rotate it back up again. So it was like that because you'll want this out of the way. So then you just take it back and do your wire like that. So it looks like that. And then with your finger, and if your wire is pretty malleable, you can just take it and just wrap it all the way around. Okay, and then at this point I just take, and I like to use these have little teeth on them, so it's just a little bit better. Now you could go ahead and snip that off if you didn't have enough room to finish wrapping that, but I just kind of crimp that around there, and then there you have your little loop. Straighten that out. So that's what that looks like. Can y'all see that? Okay, so that's our first bead. Now we have more, and I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use this pretty, I have the wire binding. Yes, I think if you are making, and I really need to use that willow, I think when I do a necklace the next time, because I was making my loops with this out of the wire. So yes, that would definitely be a game changer. I could see that definitely coming in very handy. And I do have one of those tools. So here I'm just using a little plastic one on the bottom of the black bead. And again, just placing that there. And you'll notice I don't have quite as much room here, so I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Again, just bend that over like that. Rotate your pliers up. Bring your wire back over. And I rotate it back up. So your pliers are really always sitting on top of the wire. And then again, just kind of pull that back and then wrap. And a lot of people will go ahead and just close that off and not even wrap the wire. I just kind of like the look of, I like how it looks, and I don't have to worry about anything coming apart. Especially for stuff that I'm selling. I don't know if people have got little kids, and so I try to make everything just as safe as I can. So I don't want it coming off. So there's what that one looks like. Okay. This one may be a little bit too long. Yes, they're so pretty. Kind of an iridescent color. This wire may be a little bit too long. I may have a little bit too much left over. So I may have to snip some of that off. Wrap. When I get to that point, I do not have the prettiest wrapping skills at all. Kind of at this point, I'm like, okay, just kind of go around and it's going to look fine. I'm starting with my last little bitty orange bead here. And I like to do different colors. Like I said, I do 9, so I usually try to do 3 or 2 of each color, just depending on if I'm using 4 colors or 3 colors. Okay, so I have that on there. And just bend that over. I move my pliers up and then wrap that over. Move my pliers to the top again and then just wrap that around. And then just wrap it. And this one's not going to be very pretty because I got the loop a little too big on that. Okay. And again, that one's got quite a bit hanging off, so I'm going to snip that off there. And I have pieces of wire all over my room because I just go flying. So, okay. So now I have all of my beads done. And remember, we've started our chain with my 2 charms at the bottom, and I have 3 in between, 3 loose ones in between. So now I'm going to open up one more of the little rings. And again, you'll want to use your non-dominant hand to keep it stationary, your dominant hand to pull back. And then I just start adding on. And I'll do a large one, and then I'll usually skip around and maybe add a medium-sized and then another smaller size. And I try to do, of course, kind of vary my colors a little bit. So you've got your 3 on 1, and then don't forget to add your next ring to it. So you'll just add that to that, and then close that up. Welcome in, everybody. Just kind of going over the very end of how I put my charms together for my little planner journals. So there's what that part looks like. And then next one, we're going to open that up, and then we'll start again. I think I'm going to do purple like that, and then I think I'll add the black one, and then just add the different colors around there. Again, I usually do 3 on 1 of the rings, and then I'm adding my next ring for my last bunch before I close this up. Just close that up, moving on to the last one, and then you will open this up, and then I'm going to add my last 3. Again, I do 3 on each ring, and I do 3 rings of beads. And I think that makes a pretty nice little cluster there. And then I add one more to the very top, and that is what our crochet marker will go to and hang on to add to our planner. I'm just going to close. See, almost did it wrong. Okay, so there's that. Now at the very bottom, I need to add my charm. Open this one up. This is the top of my charm here. Just put it down. Okay, let's see what this looks like. There's the bottom. There's the top. There's my little charm. And then as it dangles around, all the beads shift, and you get a look at all the different beads and all your charms on there. So I have 1 ring at the top, and I'm just going to take my little plastic crochet markers and see what color I want to use, whatever you think looks the best. These are very inexpensive. I just picked these up on Amazon, and just loop that through there like that. And then you can just clip that through the little opening of your disc, and then there you go. And that's what it looks like. So that's the end. What do y'all think? Again, I'll have the finished project the next time I come on. That will be in 2 weeks. So you can see how the finished little project looks. And this will also be up for auction in my September the 24th handmade Halloween show. But that's all I have for today, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much, Journal Junkie. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I will try to upload this to YouTube a little bit later on today if you want to go back and slow down and kind of look at everything. But if you have questions in the meantime, just send me a message. You can message me here if you follow me on Instagram. You can send me a message there, and I'll be glad to give you any kind of help that I can. So I'll see you back here in 2 weeks, and y'all have a great Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Bye, y'all.